Hello everyone, welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. I'm Jesse Arnold, and today I'm giving you my late comic haul review for week 4 of 2021, Wednesday, January, 27th. Hey everybody, welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. It's comic rundown time, week 4 of 2021, and got some really good books in here this week. And sorry it took so long to post it. I know you were all desperately waiting for my opinion on these books. So here you go. Starting with Amazing Spider-Man 58. In some ways, I kind of feel like this Last Remain storyline is not wrapping up, but this issue was good, and I enjoyed it. I like the whole thing with Aunt May and Feast and Mr. Negative, because he's not a character I have a lot of experience with. And now we're seeing teases that he might be involved in the next Spider-Man movie from Marvel and Sony, so it's nice to see him back in some books. I'm aware of him, but I haven't read a lot with him, so this was kind of fun to read this issue. Up next is Aquaman, or the Future State Aquaman. This one, I really enjoyed this issue, and it almost made my top 3, but some of the pacing, I had to reread a couple pages and double back a couple times to make sure I was understanding what was going on. And I don't mean that as an insult to the creative team behind this, but I was a little confused, and it took me a while to figure out what was actually going on. And I think it was supposed to be like a delayed reveal, and it didn't flow. And I don't know if that's just because I'm kind of thick in the head sometimes and don't pick up on stuff or what, but yeah, it was a really fun issue. I really liked seeing Andy and Aqualad, who is now Aquaman, in this different future of the DC universe. So this was really fun first issue. I can't wait to see where the rest of that story goes, because Aquaman and Mera have been one of my favorite storylines to follow since New 52, which is when I really got into reading DC. And so seeing what's going on with their child is fun. Excalibur number 17 is next on the list. This one, it took me a little process, not because of any bad storytelling, but just because I've read so many things since the last issue. I kind of forgot what happened in the last issue, so it took me a moment to adjust to what was happening. Really great issue, great art. Again, still, Excalibur is one of my favorite X books in this whole Dawn of X. I guess we're moving into the Reign of X year and everything. So, oh, did it again. I thought I'd just charge that thing. Sorry for the light, but I'm going to push through this because I want to make dinner, and yes. Up next, the last issue of Deadpool for this run. This run with Deadpool as the King of Monster Island, formerly known as Staten Island, has been a lot of fun. And this cover almost made the top 3, or the top cover of the week, just because I think Jeff is such a fun little character, and this was such a fun series. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a huge Deadpool fan in general, but depending on the way the artist or the writer approaches him and deals with him and the other characters around him in his book. So this was great. I loved him in Uncanny Avengers through the different creators that worked on that book. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. New Mutants number 15 is, next up. This series is, again, almost made the top 3 this week. Really fun. I really love the art style in this book, the storytelling, because they're not characters I'm super familiar with overall. So it's fun getting to know them better, and seeing this book and some of the other books in the X universe are now starting to address, or at least acknowledge, some of the things that were happening in the X universe before the Dawn of X and House of X storyline, or Powers of 10 and House of whatever. And that's, I like that, because, you know, when they did the whole merging of the Ultimate Universe and the mainstream Marvel Universe, there's a couple things that teased that they were going to address that, and how many years later, and they haven't. So I like acknowledging that. So it's nice to see that there's some things connecting back other than, yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But yes, enjoyed New Mutants. Up next is Unsacred, Volume 2, Issue 3. This series is just, it's very funny, and it's good humor, funny art, or good art, and it's funny. The way the creator works on the characteristics and the expressions of the characters, it's just a fun series. It's definitely different from what I normally read, but it's funny. It makes me laugh, and I enjoy it. And at the end of the day, that's why I read comics. And we've got Boom Studios, issue number 5 of We Only Find Them When They're Dead. This series, again, really digging this sci-fi series. It's just really interesting to see a whole new sci-fi concept and learning all the rules. Some of it's a little hard for me to keep up with the jumping between the reference back to timelines when I have no anchor in those timelines. It's easier for me to like think back to like 1800s or, you know, the 1950s or whatever in our history. So I'm trying to keep up with this. So I will definitely be looking forward to rereading through this series when it's collected. So, but it's really good, and the art is beautiful, and the story is very interesting. I just sometimes get confuzzled about details. So, but it is a great book. Up next is Wolverine number 9, which was Wolverine as Patch in Madripoor going into a black market sale, auction. And I almost went for the Wolverine with the Xenomorph cover for the aliens, but I love when they have dialogue on covers, and because it's so, doesn't happen that much anymore, so it's just fun to see that sort of thing. It just makes me think of when I was younger and first getting into comics, and even then that stuff was starting to fade out back then. And all right, we're almost done. For my cover of the week, it is Fantastic Four number 28 by Mark Brooks, the cover art. And this is actually a really great issue, and could probably be tied with Captain Marvel for my number 3 pick of the week. So tied at number 3 this week, Fantastic Four and Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, yeah, I surprised myself in telling you what my next pick was before I was ready to. Captain Marvel 25's continuing this storyline with her in the future. And I gotta say, I love it when people serve up stuff to Namor and his son Ove, or Ove, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, in this storyline. Yeah, he's just such a smug, smarmy dude, and his son is just like him, if not worse, and those characters, I love when they get what's coming to them, and there's a good bit of that in this issue. Cannot wait to see where the rest of this story goes. But it's gonna have to, because it's monthly books, or bi-weekly, whatever. Okay, number 2 for the week is, surprise, X-Men number 17. As I have said, and I've been pretty hard on the X books since they relaunched with the whole Dawn of X era. This issue I really enjoyed because it felt like a classic. I guess it read and felt more like an X-Men comic from when I got into X-Men. Not that everything has to be that way, but it was a nice refreshing pace within this series to see something that felt more familiar. You got to see, it's mainly Scott, Jean, and Storm doing their thing in the Shi'ar Empire. So seeing them get to play actual hero now that the X-Men are officially forming a team a year and a half into this, and they're not just playing dignitaries and statecraft with Krakoa, it was really fun. And just the art from Brett Booth in this just felt like those, you know, late 80s, early 90s stuff. We even got Jean and Cyclops in their X-Factor uniforms, which are 2 of my favorite costumes for the 2 of them, and Storm's rocking her new uniform, so it's not a flashback, it is a current storyline. And my number 1 pick of the week is Strange Academy number 7. This series has been a lot of fun. As you've been watching, if you've watched my reviews before, or my countdowns for comics, and it's mainly, I'm getting ahead of myself. I enjoy the stories where it's young superheroes learning their powers, learning how to work with others, and just kind of finding their way through the world. So that's part of what I loved about X-Men when I got into them. Young Justice, when I started reading that a couple years ago, was fun. Strange Academy, The Champions. Not saying that everything about teenage heroes is my go-to, but this one has been a lot of fun. Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos have been killing it on the story and art, and Edgar Delgado, I believe, is the colorist, maybe? Yes. This has just been such a fun series. It's kind of like Marvel superheroes going to their version of Hogwarts as a school started by Doctor Strange, and you know, he's kind of aloof and not really there, but he gets to play a bit in this issue, being the Sorcerer Supreme and all that, and they're all magic powered and supernaturally powered beings. So it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's set in Louisiana, so it's a different flavor from a lot of other books. And you do get to see some of that. You get some of the culture of New Orleans and in some of the characters and their different realms, because you've got frost giants and elves and all sorts of things there. So, and this issue is particularly good. It was a real heart issue with some characters, and I really liked what happened there, how this issue played out. So there it is, my overdue and late comic haul rundown for week 4 of 2021. I think it's week 4. I don't know. I don't have a calendar in front of me. So it's this week's comic haul rundown for January 27th, 2021. That's it. I'll catch you next time. Have a nice weekend.